welcome to highlights of the 1992 Mexican Grand Prix, brought to you by Mircoprose and GP2Joey. We're in Mexico City for round 2 of the season at the bumpy but sweepingly fast 2.7-mile Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit. Briton's Nigel Mansell was the winner last time out in a dramatic and chaotic race in South Africa after a sublime drive around Kyalami, opening his assault on the championship with a perfect 10 points for him and the Williams Renault team. And it's Mansell who leads the Drivers' Championship ahead of new Ligier owner Alain Prost, who marked his return to competition in Kyalami by taking a brilliant second, with defending world champion McLaren Ilmore's Joey Davis third in the standings after his brilliant drive to third place despite 3 broken ribs. Ferrari star Rd2 Senna is fourth, with Benetton's Johnny Herbert 1 place behind in fifth, and Derek Warwick is sixth on a single point. Williams had the constructors' standings from Ligier and McLaren in third, with Ferrari down in fourth, ahead of Benetton and Footwork. In the news leading up to the race, the row between Senna and Michael Schumacher continued to rumble on, with both drivers blaming the other for their coming together in South Africa. Ferrari were understood to be in discussions about signing Peugeot's World Sports Car Championship team manager Jean Todt to become the team's 5th manager in 3 years. Advisor to the team, Niki Lauda, then questioned if there was enough time to turn the fortunes of the squad around before it was too late for Senna to mount a title challenge. LaRousse continued to wait patiently for their upgraded Peugeot engines, and Senna called for the reinstatement of chicanes at this year's Italian Grand Prix of Monza in September on the grounds of safety. As usual, Friday morning's pre-qualifying session was a demonstration of how tough Formula One is for the slower teams, who have little time to get themselves up and running to competitive lap times. There was no such trouble for Mika Häkkinen in the Lotus, however, as the Finn easily ran out the fastest by over 7/10 of a second, ahead of the increasingly impressive Alessandro Zanardi, who yet again finished ahead of his LaRousse teammate Eric Bernard in third, with Häkkinen's teammate Mark Blundell taking fourth. It was a close session, but in the end it was Lotus, LaRousse and Fondmetal who would progress through, with Andrea Moda just missing the cup once more and joining their rivals Leighton House and Modena in going home early. Eager to further cement his obvious speed advantage from South Africa, Nigel Mansell easily ran out the fastest driver in Friday afternoon's first qualifying session ahead of Williams teammate Jean Alesi, who was over 7/10 of a second shy, whilst Senna seemed happier in the Ferrari after taking third ahead of Schumacher, Prost and Brundle in sixth. Davis, meantime, would have been second had his car not been found to be underweight and his lap times deleted by the race stewards in what was a frustrating day for the McLaren driver, still nursing his rib injuries from a testing crash in Estoril last month. Saturday saw most of the field improving their lap times, and whilst Senna looked to be finally getting some speed out of the Ferrari, still the double world champion was unable to compete with Schumacher's McLaren, let alone the 2 Williamses of Alesi and Mansell, who easily went fastest again to claim his 2nd consecutive pole. Further down, Prost ended up 5th in the Ligier, whilst for Davis there was some relief in taking 8th after all the drama of Friday, whilst at the back it was once more again the 2 BMS Stellaros of Emanuele Pirro and Ivan Capelli, who both failed to qualify. Afterwards, Mansell was in relaxed mood ahead of the race and confident of a repeat of his win 2 weeks ago, whilst Alesi was sure he could make amends for his lacklustre performance in the first race and get the win on Sunday. Schumacher in turn was delighted with his highest ever grid position in third, whilst down at Ferrari, Senna was already sure he had no chance of winning. Such is the race pace of his troublesome car right now. So it's Nigel Mansell and Jean Alesi on the front row, with Michael Schumacher and Rd2 Senna on row 2. Row 3 is Alain Prost and Martin Brundle. Row 4 is Johnny Herbert and Joey Davis. Row 5 is Michael Andretti and Eric Comas. Row 6 is Mika Häkkinen and Gerhard Berger. Row 7 is Riccardo Patrese and Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Row 8 is Derek Warwick and JJ Leto. Row 9 is Mark Blundell and Damon Hill. Row 10 is Eric Bernard and Satoru Nakajima. Row 11 is Alessandro Zanardi and Pierluigi Martini. Row 12 is Gianni Morbidelli and Stefano Modena. And at the back it's Andrea De Cesaris and Olivier Griard. The last car pulls up onto its grid spot as the red lights come on, and the 1992 Mexican Grand Prix is go, go, go! It's a good start from Mansell in the leading Williams. His teammate Sean Lacey's made a terrible start. He's down to 4th place already. And Mansell's got Schumacher. And he's got Senna right behind him. As Senna pulls out in the Ferrari, he's going to try and take the German. But Schumacher's right up alongside Mansell. Who's going to take the lead into turn 1? It's Schumacher. Michael Schumacher takes the lead. Fantastic stuff in the McLaren Ilmor. The 23-year-old German leads a Grand Prix. It's Mansell in 2nd, it's Senna in 3rd, Lacey 4th, and look at this! Joey Davis is up from 8th on the grid, he's into 5th, and he's already trying to pounce on Sean Lacey with the 2 Ligiers of Prost and Comas right behind him. Davis gets the run on Lacey out of the tight right-hander and into the next right-hander at the hairpin. He's through! So it's Schumacher from Mansell and Senna with Davis up into 4th position. Lacey drops back to 5th from 2nd on the grid. Prost is in 6th, it's Comas 7th. Herbert's 8th, Brundle's 9th and Andretti's 10th as Davis looks to make a move on the inside of Senna and he's through. So Davis is up into 3rd place with Mansell in the McLaren sandwich now. Schumacher on the run down to the Peraltada for the first time. He's leading the race in the McLaren down to 150 miles an hour around the super bumpy, the super fast Peraltada corner. Over the bump they come across the start finish line for the first time. And it's Schumacher half a second to the good over Mansell. With Davis in 3rd, it's Senna 4th, Sean Lacey in 5th, and he's got Prost all over the back of him.
Let's have a look at the start here from Joey Davis's McLaren now. He made a very good start initially, and so did Andretti in the Ferrari, but then he had to back out of it because of Brundle's Benetton. So those two dropped back, but Davis has got a good run now on Alain Prost in the Ligier. And on the approach down into the first turn, it's Davis just sneaks inside with Lacey ahead, and Davis just has to apply a little more brake to stop running into the back of the Williams there. But a good start from the Englishman.
And speaking of Davis, he's swarming about all over the back of Mansell's Williams. Look at this. He almost went off the circuit there around the left-hander, but Mansell can't do anything about it. Davis has got a run on him, and Mansell's engine sounded a little bit rough coming out of the corner there. But Davis is easily through and he's up into 2nd place. So it's a McLaren 1-2. Fantastic start from the two of them. As further back down the field, it's Pierluigi Martini and Satoru Nakajima in the Tyrrell. They're doing battle over 17th place. But there's battles going on right the way through. And look at this. That's Davis and Schumacher. Davis goes round the outside. Well, he's done that for the last few years on somebody, and he's just got a beautiful run on Schumacher right the way round the outside. Fantastic racing.
But Schumacher's back in front now, but Joey Davis is going to have to go on the full attack mode. The two of them, they're absolutely side by side. They almost touch on the run down, and Davis just about manages to keep inside, and that's fantastic repassing from the leading McLaren, from the defending world champion. So tremendous driving there, as we see Gerhard Berger battling with one of the footworks.
Well, Gerhard Berger's more or less just about recovered from his awful testing crash in February back at Imola when he had a failure on the car. But yet again, that's Davis and Schumacher. And Schumacher's going to retake the lead, and they almost touch. And Davis has to back out of it, which allows Mansell through in the Williams. So Davis goes from 1st to 2nd to 3rd in one corner. And this is Hills Jordan with Mark Blundell in the Lotus now. They're absolutely flat chat down the front straight. And Andretti almost runs wide in the Ferrari. Look at this. He's pushing that Ferrari, which is really not handling very well for the two drivers, for Andretti and for Senna. As Davis, there's smoke coming out of the back of Mansell's Williams, and he almost connects Davis across the start-finish line. Mansell is smoking his Renault. It's been sounding rough for the last few laps. And Nigel Mansell, he's going to retire. Incredible. Mansell retires as Herbert is battling one of the footworks there. That's Derek Warwick. Two Brits battling over 10th place. Brundle's in 9th. Herbert goes 10th. And there's Eric Comas in 4th with Andretti right behind him. He's in 5th. And there's Davis. He's coming up to try and pass one of the Fonmatels, the back marker. I think that's Olivier Griard, who gets in the way. My goodness. Davis gets in the way of Olivier Griard and spins. So the footwork spins as he gets passed by another couple of drivers. But Davis, he's now right with Michael Schumacher, who's got held up behind one of the Jordans.
That's Damon Hill.
He's got held up, and Davis is on the gearbox of his teammate, and he pulls out into the Peraltada they come. Davis is going to have the inside line, and he's got it. He's up into 1st place. Fantastic battle between these two. Davis is up into 1st, it's Schumacher 2nd. Senna's in 3rd with Andretti up to 4th in the 2nd Ferrari. Davis has a look in his rear-view mirror to see where his teammate is, but Schumacher's already alongside him.
Well, Schumacher's running less wing than Davis this weekend. Davis is faster in the corners. And look at this! There's hardly a cigarette paper's width between them as Davis retakes the lead. Fantastic racing. You can hear him flipping the throttle as Patrese battling once more with the Terrell. As across the line they come, they're absolutely flat out. Patrese is really underperforming in the Joest at the moment, and you can see Blundell's going through. But here's Davis with Schumacher in the pit. So Michael Schumacher makes his first stop. Well, we're anticipating that the two McLarens are going to be making two tyre stops. They're running the softer B compound. Prost and possibly even Martin Brundle are running the harder A compound, so I don't think they're going to be making any more than one planned pit stop.
And speaking of the footwork, that's Derek Warwick.
We weren't speaking of the footworks.
Well, that's Warwick spun. He's out. The marshals are waving, and that's Mark Blundell and the Lotus pulling off. My goodness, as a Senna comes into the pits, but Blundell is out, and Comas has gone off somewhere. I'm not sure what happened there, but Comas has come off. Senna's into the pits, and Tretti's up into second place now, with Schumacher in second, as Davis comes into the pits. He's onto the marks, the brakes are on, lifted up. Fantastic wipe of the visor from the chief mechanic. The wheels are up, the tyres come on, and the most important part of the car is the nut that holds the wheel.
I assume you're not talking about the driver.
No, I'm talking about the drivers themselves with the tyres. And there's Schumacher across the line. But where's Davis? He's ahead. Schumacher's ahead of Davis, so Schumacher's had a phenomenal few laps on new tyres. He takes the lead. Davis has now got to close up the gap as Derek Warwick pulls over in the footwork. Well, he scored points last time out in South Africa, but he's not going to score any today. Senna's in third, it's Prost in fourth, with Brundle fifth. Sean Lacey, who started second on the grid, is down to sixth place already. And Tretti's in seventh, with Herbert eighth, Comas is ninth, and Gerhard Berger is up into 10th place. But Senna's struggling to get past one of the Joest Porsches there.
I think that was Gerhard Berger.
And Davis, he's going again with Schumacher. He pulls out, and it's a last-second lunge. Look at this. But Schumacher still manages to maintain position. And he closes the gap, Davis. But you can hear him flipping the throttle once more through that turn. But Brundle's got... That's one of the LaRousses.
That's Eric Bernard in the LaRousse there.
But Brundle, he's not racing the LaRousse. He's trying to catch up. He's trying to catch up to Alain Prost in the Ligier. But both of them, they've got to mind their tyres because both of them, they're only stopping once this race. As Schumacher's leading Davis now, and it's less than a tenth of a second. It's 0.078 seconds. Look at this. Around the Peraltada they come again, and Davis is all over the back of the German's gearbox. A puff of smoke as he runs over the huge bump that's midway through the corner. And Davis is going to have the run, but is he going to have the legs? Because Schumacher's running less wing. He's going to be faster down the straight, which means that Davis is going to have to pull out at the last second. They're wheel to wheel, they're almost touching, but Davis is through. Davis goes through and he retakes the lead. This is fantastic. The two McLarens are racing absolutely as fast as they possibly can, but Lacey's now down in sixth position. This is a terrible performance in what is arguably the fastest car. But speaking of the fastest cars, it's Davis and Schumacher once again. Schumacher's managed to find his way past as Senna comes into the pits, and Davis can't do anything about it. Schumacher, he covers the line. Senna's into the pits, and Prost is in fourth place with Brundle in fifth. But what's going on between Schumacher and Davis? There's Patrese, and he's got Eric Bernard right behind him. That's a battle over 13th position. So Patrese and Bernard are battling very hard over 13th, with Prost in fourth, and he's going to try and get the move done on Senna. But Bernard's going to try and get inside Patrese, and he can't. And there's JJ Leto. Leto, he's battling Lacey. But Lacey covers the line. JJ Leto's a little bit further back. But once again, Davis takes the lead away from Schumacher. Prost is up into third place. And there's the Frenchman after his phenomenal podium finish last time out in Kyalami. Can he manage to get another podium finish here today? As Schumacher comes in to make his second stop. And still Prost and Brundle haven't stopped. And they're up to third and fourth. But Schumacher's in, and Davis is going to have to really put in the laps. He's going to have to really try and set as many fast laps as he possibly can, because he's going to have a gap before he has to come in and make his tyre stop.
It's going to be very exciting as we look at the Minardi. That's Morbidelli battling Andrea De Cesaris there with JJ Leto, a fine performance, up into 11th position now in the footwork Mugen Honda. So a fine performance from the young Finn, and he's really impressing me so far this year. Still trying to chase down Sean O'Lacey's car there. He's a lap behind, but that won't bother him. He just wants to put in another decent performance. And with Derek Warwick having dropped out, all the pressure in the team is going to most certainly be on JJ Leto.
Well, if anybody can handle the pressure, it's going to be him as Schumacher comes across the line. And Davis has still not stopped. And Häkkinen in 15th place, he's pushing the Lotus as much as he can. He had a very good performance last time out in Kyalami, but it's not so this weekend. The air is thinner up here at the Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, and it's certainly affecting a lot of engines, which certainly was the case for Nigel Mansell, because Schumacher, he's 31.8 seconds behind his teammate Joey Davis, and I'm pretty sure that Davis is going to have to come into the pits very soon as Alesi's up into 5th place, with Senna now up into 3rd as Davis is into the pits. But where's Schumacher going to come out? Schumacher's around the final turn, but this could decide the end of the race now. And Davis, I think he's exiting the pit lane. He's going to be in the lead. It's a fantastic few laps from Joey Davis. He's copied what Schumacher did at the end of their first run of pit stops. And Davis emerges in the lead. But can Schumacher do what Davis did and manage to close the gap on his teammate as Senna goes round the sweepingly fast right-hander? But he can't as Schumacher takes the lead. Fantastic stuff. Schumacher's taken the lead. We only caught a last glimpse of it. But Schumacher's in the lead. It's Davis in 2nd. Senna's in 3rd with Prost in 4th. And Martin Brundle's in 5th place. Alesi's still 6th. And Tretti, we can see on our screens, is 7th with Johnny Herbert in 8th. But yet again, the two McLarens, they're going at it. Hammer and tongs. Davis is on the inside. And Davis, and they touch. They touch. My goodness me. Schumacher just appeared to just turn right in front of his teammate there. There was no quarter given and none taken there from the young German as JJ Leto continues to battle the Joist of Riccardo Patrese. But what's going on up at the front, Mr. TV Director?
We need to really see this battle between the two McLarens because this is absolutely captivating stuff. And there again, there's Davis trying to go through on the inside, and this time he manages to sneak through. But the two of them actually slow each other down, and that's going to give Michael Schumacher the chance to pounce as they come out of the final corner across the start-finish line. It's Schumacher once again on the attack.
This is fantastic stuff. Davis is going to have to try and see if he can muscle his way through once more, but Schumacher, is he going to go defensive on the inside? He's not. Davis is just going to go through on the inside, but Schumacher hangs it out, and they touch again. The left front of Davis's McLaren hits the right rear of Schumacher's McLaren. My goodness me, what fantastic racing. This is like watching Gilles Villeneuve and Arnoux battling at Dijon all those years ago, and Davis just goes sweepingly around the outside. That's an amazing pass. Joey Davis is up into 1st place once again as Prost tries to get past the footwork of JJ Leto. Prost is into 5th place. He's made his single stop. So was Martin Brundle. But Brundle's stop was faster. We're hearing that Alain Prost's stop was quite slow. As Davis and Schumacher, they're side by side. Davis has caught the gap. And he's gone round the outside again. This is extraordinary racing. Davis has got absolutely no fear. They're only separated by 1/10 of a second. But once again, Schumacher takes the lead. Senna's still in 3rd when Brundle 4th. And Davis is pulling out. He's weaving all over the back of his teammate. But he can't get through there. Schumacher was super late on the brakes. There's only a few laps to go now. Is Davis going to be able to do anything about Schumacher?
Incredible racing. Absolutely fantastic between these two. Sean O'Lacey down in 6th place as Davis goes for the inside once more. Is Schumacher going to be able to hold off?
He can't! They're side by side, but Davis, once again, he goes through. Is he going to be able to finally exert his authority? And that's Patrese pulling off. His engine's dead in the Joist. So he was 10th, and he's dropping out now. And that means that Gerhard Berger, his teammate, is up into 10th place with Comas in 9th. And there's Gerhard Berger in the 2nd Joist. So he's up into 10th with Comas in 9th. And Tretti is 8th. It's Johnny Herbert in 7th. Sean O'Lacey's in 6th. Prost is 5th. Martin Brundle is 4th. And he's going to be desperately trying to catch up the 10 seconds to Senna as Schumacher just slows there momentarily. But can he pass Davis for the lead? Davis is just absolutely disappearing off into the lead at the moment as they come up to one more back marker. Is Schumacher going to be able to close the gap with Senna in 3rd in the Ferrari? And there's Michael Andretti, his teammate.
Andretti's putting in a very decent performance at the moment. In a poor car, he's in 8th position with teammate Senna in 3rd. With Brundle 4th. And my goodness, that's a McLaren stop. That That's Davis! Joey Davis has pulled over. There's flames billowing out of the back of that McLaren. And unfortunately for the defending world champion, he is out. He's in second place at the moment, but Senna just pulls across and he goes ahead of him, which means that Martin Brundle is going to be promoted up into fourth place. And dare I say that Michael Schumacher may very well be on target to win his very first Grand Prix in only his second race for McLaren. This would be a fantastic performance. And Martin Brundle, there he is in the Benetton. It's a fine second race for him. He's in third place, but will he have the reliability to keep going? Will Schumacher have the reliability with the Ilmor engine? Davis has already failed, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be some very worried faces down at McLaren, because Schumacher will be hoping that he's got everything crossed, hoping, praying that he's going to be able to see the end of the race with Eric Comas down in 8th place and Senna in 2nd. Is Ayrton Senna going to be able to keep this second place now? This is going to be another fine performance from the Brazilian. As Schumacher exits the final turn for the 69th and final time, and he's across the line, and Michael Schumacher takes his debut victory. Fantastic performance. Well, it was kind of handed to him on a plate because of Davis's retirement. As Senna takes the checkered flag, he finishes in second place, but you cannot fault Schumacher's drive as Brundle comes across the line. He's in third place, Prost is fourth, Alesi fifth, with Andretti in 7th, and it's Johnny Herbert taking 6th. But what a performance from Michael Schumacher. Fantastic performance.
Ever since his mesmerising debut last year in Belgium, it was inevitable Michael Schumacher would reach the top step of the podium sooner rather than later. But even the 23-year-old German can't have expected it would come in only his second race on McLaren Ilmor after a quite superb drive. For Senna and Brundle alike, there was delight at taking second and third places respectively, whilst the one-stopping Prost was happy enough with his fourth place. For Alesi, this was a pretty poor showing yet again in arguably the fastest car, and his fifth place can't sit well with the bosses at Williams, whilst Herbert was pleased to have scored another points finish down in 6th. Afterwards, Schumacher sprayed the winner's champagne as vigorously as when he was battling Davis on track, whilst the content Senna said he hoped Ferrari would close the gap to McLaren and Williams over the coming races, but remained fearful the championship was gone after just 2 races, and Brundle beamed with delight after a fine performance in the Benetton. For Mansell, there was nothing other than dejection at his DNF after a race where his engine was misfiring from the start, and Davis congratulated his teammate on getting his first win, but was quick to declare he would be having a word with Schumacher about some of his moves during their epic battle. McLaren management were elated with Schumacher's triumph, with Ilmor boss Mario Ilian praising the German, as did Ron Dennis, who was confident this would be far from the last victory for the newest addition to his team. It all means Schumacher joins Mansell at the top of the standings on 10 points, with Prost and Senna tied for second and Davis and Brundle in third. Herbert takes fourth with Alesi down in fifth, with Warwick 6th on a single point. McLaren Ilmor now lead the constructors' standings on 14 points, 2 ahead of Williams in second, with Ligier and Ferrari tied in third, as Benetton go 5th and Footwork stays 6th. So Schumacher becomes Germany's first race winner in what feels like a millennia. But can he repeat it next time out, or will it be teammate Davis? Will Mansell reinstate his dominance, or could home favourite Ayrton Senna claim an unlikely win at the revised Interlagos circuit in Sao Paulo? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for round 3 of the 1992 Formula 1 World Championship and the Brazilian Grand Prix.